Decisions I thought that I'll just convey. One is on credit rating agencies, where decisions have been taken about the governance structure and shareholding pattern in credit rating agencies. Some of the items, some of the issues being that no cross-holding allowed between the credit rating agencies, and any substantial holder in one credit rating agency also not allowed to hold substantial holding, that is 10% or more in the other credit rating agency, and no board seat also within one credit rating agency to have in the other agency. Net worth requirements also, it has been enhanced from 5 crore to 25 crore, and the existing ones have been given a period of 3 years to do that. Then any rating which is given by credit rating agency to any instrument, that the life of that, in case it needs to be changed, it will be 50% of the life or 5 years, whichever is later. So that is additional flexibility which has been provided. The idea is that credit rating agencies, being important regulatory functionaries, have to have some governance structure, and so that was the purpose, and so these are the things which have been approved by the board. Similarly, on mutual funds also, it has been approved that any substantial holding in one mutual fund or a sponsor of one mutual fund cannot have substantial holding in another mutual fund. And any such existing thing, if it is there, it should be corrected within a period of 1 year. And the purpose there again being that we have 40 plus mutual funds. So any sponsor of one fund, if they have substantial holding in another fund or a board position, that may have conflict of interest. To avoid that, regulations, it has been decided to amend the regulations. Next one is on security receipts issued by ARCs. This was a budget announcement. As of now, security receipts which are issued by ARCs, they are not allowed to be listed. So we had a committee with the RBI, and in consultation with the RBI, we have drafted a framework where security receipts could now be listed and also traded on the exchanges. So that would actually bring in liquidity in the security receipts market, bring in more money to the asset reconstruction companies, and therein helping resolving the bank's NPA issue. So there will be more ARCs who will be then competing for the stress assets, and that will benefit the NPA resolution of banks. Other decision which was taken was the simplification of access by FPIs. So when SEBI in the month of June put restrictions on ODIs issued under derivatives, that time we also actually issued a consultation paper, if you recall, for streamlining and rationalizing the investments of FPIs in India, that is by direct route. And there are also a lot of simplifications. In fact, 14, 15 simplifications of the procedural issue have been brought in. And most of the important one is that broad-based criteria for category 2 has been rationalized, and that would mean that broad-based funds other than banks would also be considered for in category 2, which requires relatively lesser KYC as compared to category 3, and there's other benefits also. So details are available in the press note. On REITs, we, as you are aware, that both SEBI and government has been trying since 2014 to bring in more investment in REITs. Till now, actually, we are yet to have a issuance of REIT, even a single issuance, and we have been trying to simplify, being in consultation with industry to learn as to what more simplification and rationalization could be done. So there also a lot of changes have been brought in. One of the important ones being that REIT holding in holding company and thereafter in SPV, now it can hold minimum requirement is now 50% in holding company, and holding company in SPV of 50%. but that condition of 26% holding in SPV being retained, and all shareholder agreements and all will be in line with the REITs regulations. So they cannot obviously be any shareholder agreement which will be in violation of REIT regulations. So we think this is something which will work and will bring in investment in REITs, which is much needed, which is a new vehicle which we have been trying to really launch. Other important decision which was taken in the board meeting was that merger of commodity derivatives exchange with the securities exchange. Not really merger, but allowing that all exchanges will be able to do securities trade, that is other than commodity derivatives trade, and commodity derivatives trade too. And this would be made effective from 1st October 2018. As you are aware, this when FMC was merged with SEBI in September 2015, there were different timelines which were fixed for different items, and so going by those timelines, we saw that by October 2018 perhaps is the right time, where it will be 3 years after the merger of FMC with SEBI, that all exchanges should be able to deal with either commodity derivatives or other securities. So that has been approved by the board. One item which is a consultation paper, which is not really an item, but I thought I will just mention here, is that that investment advisors versus mutual fund distributors, which we had issued a consultation paper earlier, and so we have issued another consultation paper, but we took it to the board to get further inputs, if any. And what we aim is that by March 2019, the distributors would need to choose whether they want to be investment advisors or mutual fund distributors. And the issues of mis-selling, of course we are aware the distributors who sell their own products need to explain about those products to the clients, but that can be done, that should be done under the framework of appropriateness, so that giving advice of the products which they are distributing cannot perhaps be construed as independent investment advisor per se for the whole category of mutual funds. But there is no decision on this subject. This is a fresh consultation paper. We'll obtain views of all stakeholders and thereafter take a view. So this is what I thought I wanted to cover, unless Mr. Mahalan.
MPS additional reports.
Yeah. So other item is minimum public shareholding, which we have suggested that minimum 25% minimum public shareholding should be there in listed companies. We found that there are some methods which have been allowed to achieve that. Their QIP was missing, and we found that a lot of banks actually follow that route, and they were taking case-by-case approval from SEBI. So we have, the board has agreed to allow QIP as one of the routes for achieving minimum public shareholding, and also promoters actually selling their share through secondary market up to I think 2%, up to 2%. So that is another important decision which will help in achieving the target of 25% minimum public shareholding in a timely manner. So I think these are the major things which I wanted to say, and now you're free to ask questions. So please be brief and yeah.
Sir, good evening. We are here from ET now. So thanks for doing this press conference. So a couple of things. One, on this whole debate, we have been asking you the circular which SEBI pulled back on of listed companies wanting to disclose in 24 hours when it comes to a default. Was there a discussion on that? And secondly, sir, we have not seen SEBI abruptly pulling out some circulars the way this was done. Is this clearly that RBI had its own apprehensions? And secondly, sir, if I could ask you, was there any discussion on the Uday Kotak panel committee report? And primarily, where do you see the challenges coming? Thanks.
So the first one, you see, there was a discussion on the subject. It was discussed at length. And I must say that in August 2017, when we issued it, we issued at our own volition. I mean, no one really asked us to issue. So it's not something that we felt as a concept. It is good. In terms of implementation issues, it was discussed at length, but it requires further discussion. So it has been deferred by the board. On the other issue of Kotak committee, we perhaps will take it to the next board meeting because it's an important report. We didn't want to take it in a hurry, and we already have had a lot of consultations, perhaps in the next board meeting.
Sir, talking about the capitalization of mutual funds, AMCs were supposed to submit a proposal by December 15. So if you could give us an update on whether what is the response that you have received, and also were there any issues that they had highlighted in this process? So what were the concerns if you could just
status?
No, we are just getting it actually.
We are getting the response. So we have not really compiled it. That's what member tells. But we have not received any objections to that. We, in fact, further clarified on around 6th of December. And as per that categorization, we have received inputs, but I'm sorry, I don't have the exact compilation as to what has come out. Just hold on, Mr. Mahalingam.
Actually, a good part of the categorization part has been done on the basis of the feedback that we got from the market. Actually, there was a two-way consultation with the market participants, mutual funds, etc. So primarily, what we issued first, I think the market accepted almost, except for minor tweaking. Now 15th December was given as the last date for them to submit the categorization and all. Now we have received everything, we are working on it right now. So basically the circular issue part is over, the implementation part is from their side, it is done. We are looking at it.
Yes, sir. Sir, with respect to fungibility of projects for commodity stock exchanges and stock exchanges, how will the entire process go through? You laid out a part of October 2018 as the date from when both exchanges and the deemed stock exchange will be able to enter each other's product. So will there be guidelines in that sense, or they will be allowed to freely go and introduce the products?
No, freely. I mean, products will have to be introduced with the approval of SEBI, and detailed guidelines we will come out with in consultation with all stakeholders. So what has happened is that at the brokers level, we already brought in that synergy, if you recall, in April, May this year. And so what was required to be done was at the exchange level. So we are saying by 1st October 2018, all exchanges will be able to deal with, they will be eligible to deal with all products subject to stipulations and guidelines. So those guidelines will be worked out in coming months.
And this may also lead to consolidation within the market as well, because we'll have around six exchanges and commodity exchanges. So is there?
So that is premature to say, but that may or may not happen. I really cannot say.
Is SEBI looking forward?
No. SEBI is looking forward from the concept of integration of securities market. So we are seeing from that point of view, and the concept being that there is a single regulator at the highest level, and there are brokers which are already which are interoperable ability has been brought in. So middle level which remains is the exchanges. So from the client's point of view, from their investors' point of view, we are bringing it this synergy. Now whether it leads to market consolidation or something, that's something as a result, if it happens, that may or may not happen. That is not our really concern.
So on the issue of having a shareholder cap or a sponsorship cap on mutual funds, so it could have an impact on UTI AMC, which has multiple sponsors. There's an LIC, they already have a mutual fund. So particularly looking at this, because UTI AMC, UTI is another act. So how will we solve on those issues, sir?
I don't get what you are saying. I understand that UTI has that issue, whether for public sector banks and LIC, they have 18.24%. So as per this, they will have to reduce it to 10%, below 10%, because each one of them have their own mutual funds within a year. So I think there's no conflict with UTI Act on that. This is a requirement of SEBI for under mutual fund regulations. So there is no conflict with the UTI Act on that.
Sir, good evening, sir. Hello, sir. Yash
Just a
from...
small clarification. This UTI,
Speak into the mic actually.
this 10%, bringing down below 10%, so no board position for either of the sponsors.
Yeah, that's right.
So that will be, they'll have to.
So we are saying 10% also and board position also will not be there.
So that board position again within 1 year you'll have.
Yes, that's right. Yes, you are.
राजेश फ्रॉम जी बिजनेस सर, ये आपने पेमेंट डिफॉल्ट रेटिंग वाला आपने कहा कि कोई डिस्कशन करने की और जरूरत बताई गई, तो आखिर किन चीज़ों में दिक्कत आ रही है इसमें, किसकी तरफ से आ रही है और क्लैरिफाई कर पाएंगे?
देखिए, ऐसा है कि सेबी का जो स्ट्रक्चर है उसमें सेबी बोर्ड है, सेबी चेयरमैन है, ठीक है, तो उसके मुताबिक जो मुद्दे ऐसे हैं वो बोर्ड में ले जाए जाते हैं। जिसमें जो चर्चा हुई और उसका निष्कर्ष नहीं निकल पाया, उसमें ये कहना है कि क्या एग्जैक्टली चर्चा हुई, मैं समझता हूँ उचित नहीं होगा। ये कहना है कि चर्चा हुई और उसमें कोई उचित निर्णय नहीं निकल पाया और अभी डेफर किया गया, मैं समझता हूँ इतना बताना उचित रहेगा। धन्यवाद।
दूसरा एक सवाल ये होगा कि आपने यूनिवर्सल एक्शन के कॉन्सेप्ट को अप्रूव किया, तो क्या टाइमिंग बढ़ाने को लेकर भी कुछ बात हुई क्या, कि इसके जो आपको फीडबैक क्या मिला था एक्शन की ओर से, पार्टिसिपेंट्स की ओर से?
टाइमिंग के बारे में बोर्ड में तो एजेंडे में नहीं ले गए, उसके बारे में कोई मीटिंग भी मेरे स्तर पे तो नहीं हुई, लेकिन उस पर अलग अलग व्यूज़ हैं, उसमें एक्सचेंजेस के कुछ व्यूज़ हैं, ब्रोकर्स के कुछ और व्यूज़ हैं, तो उसके बारे में भी मैं समझता हूँ सोच समझ के कुछ उचित निर्णय लिया जाएगा। इस बारे में इस एजेंडा में वो नहीं था।
Mr. Tyagi, Ashwin Mohan here from India now. Just wanted to get a sense of what's the long-term strategy of SEBI when it comes to dealing with this unwanted menace of listed company results landing up in private WhatsApp groups. SEBI recently has undertaken such operations. There was an order passed to this effect yesterday. Just want to understand your long-term strategy, because this is something that the regulator would want to. There not to be a repeat of such instances.
Yeah. So this is something which I think is not on. When the whole system depends on the trust, when you're saying capital market is booming and people are investing, if select people have access to results before it is in public domain, this is just not on. And that's how we started this. And we are looking into it from all aspects. From the aspect of whatever technological improvements which in our surveillance system needs, that we will do. Whatever legal action, enforcement action we need to do, we will do. And this is something which is just not on. And one cannot really hide behind technology or say that it is encrypted and then what can you do. So we'll see what should be done. That is our role, to see that whatever price sensitive information is, that should be in public domain and everyone should see at the same time. So we have started this in right earnest, and we'll continue seeing what can be done to ensure that it is restricted.
Good evening, sir. This is Yash Jain from CRACKDOwn. So just one question to take that point forward. Of course, you named Axis Bank in just an order which came out yesterday. Sir, I wanted to understand, are there more companies which are at least under SEBI's investigation at this point of time? And you asked Axis Bank also to submit a report with SEBI. What is the plan of investigation which SEBI is doing on its part as far as this particular matter is concerned?
So there are more companies. I don't want to say the names or the numbers. What has been done is, again, coming back to the issue of technology and all. So one thing which is clear is that some information has been leaked, and so wherever we are certain in terms of the information which we have or analysis which we have done, that information has been leaked before it was submitted to the exchange. So it's a matter of fact that information has come out before it should have. So for that reason, apart from other investigations as to whether to what extent it was misused or whether someone has misused for trading and fraudulent trading, one thing which is clear is that it must have come from the original listed company. Whether through their mechanism or through other fiduciaries like auditors and all who interact with the company. So what we have done, say in this case, is we have asked them to really go into it, investigate it to see that it doesn't happen again. And that doesn't mean that that is the only investigation being done for that entity. So we are doing our own investigation also.
Sir, Shantanu from Bloomberg here. I have a question on this one. Is there an issue in terms of also you need to tweak the insider trading regulations, because as you mentioned, in other jurisdictions there is a norm that those who have a fiduciary responsibility, those who have direct contact with them, they are insiders. Now, if this passes on through across a technological medium, it goes potentially to hundreds and thousands of people, and you cannot potentially identify all of them. But under Indian law, they all are insider traders. So, do you propose to change, modify the insider trading so that those people are not, under this scanner?
No, why they should not be insiders? I mean, if you cannot locate all hundreds of insiders to say that you should not take action against the ones which you identified, I think that defies logic. And every one of them will be insider. And to larger issue of this thing, we have set up a committee under Mr. Vishwanathan, and they will be submitting on various other issues of insider trading issues, and whatever strengthening is required, then we will bring in amendment in the regulations. But on this score, if there are hundreds of them, they all are insiders.
Sir, this is Yogesh from Moneylife. SEBI board has passed the insider trading regulations in 2015 and it is in the operations. But SEBI has not yet submitted these regulations before the parliament as mandated in the SEBI Act. So when we are planning to table these regulations before the parliament, and if there are any other regulations pending that are to be submitted to parliament.
So this 2015 regulation was not submitted. That was more of an oversight. It was no other with wrong intention, because that we have verified. And it was sent to the ministry about a month back. So we'll find out. It should have been laid, and if not, it should be laid in the remaining part of this parliament session. And we are also putting in place actually all regulations. Not only regulations need to be laid, all amendments also need to be laid as per the procedure. So now we actually have put in place that on 1st of every month, there will be a statement which will be put up by Legal Affairs Department to say that how many regulations have not been laid, and then liaise with Ministry to see what is the problem. And in fact, wherever the Parliament session is announced, then also we will review to see that there are no such lapses. But you're right, 2015 regulation, by somehow it was left out. We came to know last month, and we said it should be laid immediately.
Sir, I'm Shrikan from Agencies. I have a question that now that universal exchange will come into existence in 10 months, under 10 months. On one side, there are robust exchanges like LSE and GSE with 25 years of very developed regulation. And on the other side, there are the commodity exchanges which are still grappling with basic infrastructure. So, how do you think this transition can happen smoothly? Is this 10 months period is enough?
No, so it's not 10 months. As if you heard me, I said it has been 3 years. The intention has been there for 3 years. Now, one option is that you wait for a few years, but then that is not the intention. Intention is to bring in synergy in terms of various, activities and client level participation. So that has to be done over a time period. In 2015, for various activities, various time periods were given to increase the net worth. If I recall, the last was that clearing corporation should be in place in 3 years. So I think enough time has been given. And as he said that if consolidation were to take place, I'm sorry. I mean, so be it. So we really cannot go into that aspect. Your aspect which you are seeing is that there should be synergy, there should be volumes of scale activity, and they should be at one place. So it's really not our concern that it leads to consolidation.
Sir, Abhi from Reuters News. Just one follow-up on the WhatsApp case. What are the legal challenges you foresee in this issue, whether it be privacy because it includes access to personal social media accounts, or lack of precedence because SEBI hasn't done this at this scale before?
So precedent, of course, there isn't, and what challenges come, we'll see as we encounter. But as I said that we started with the right intention, and let's see how to proceed. I really don't want to project something without really fully going into it. But we are going in the right earnest, I can tell you that, and with all seriousness, let's see how we proceed.
So this is Shrimi Chaudhary from the Business Standard here, sir. Sir, yesterday only on the WhatsApp earning leaks case only, Axis Bank has been told to conduct internal inquiry. So do you think that bank itself do a fair job because they have been asked to do internal inquiry? I mean, they can manipulate also.
So as I said, that is not the only thing which is being done in that case. We ourselves also are doing. But basic, without wasting time and going into as to what are the technological challenges and all, basic thing remains the same, that the origin has to be somewhere from the company where the information has come. So it is the company's responsibility to see that who are handling that type of information internally in that company or other fiduciaries, what is their standard operating procedure. So they jolly well do that, and to make sure that this doesn't reoccur. It's not an issue of it has occurred. It should not be, so the systems are not in place, so they should do it. I mean, manipulation means what? So they will come out with something, they cannot really say that it has not happened. What they can say is that how it has happened. So let them come out with whatever, let's wait for what they have to say.
सर फॉलोअप ऑडिटर्स की गलती पाई जाती है, उनके यहाँ रिलीज होता है, तो उसका रिफ्लेक्शन है ऑडिटर्स.
No, auditors also are insiders, then we'll take action. And I said that everyone is an insider.
Yeah. So out of the 331 share companies, it was only 12 to 14 companies which were sent for forensic research. So what has been the update there, and what about the rest of the companies? Like, how do you classify them now? Do you still consider them as shell companies, and what has been the update there?
See, shell companies, this list had come from Ministry of Corporate Affairs saying that they are shell companies, asking us to take action. Now, without going into what is shell company, we can take action only under the laws which have been given to us for administering. Maybe SEBI Act, SCRA, Depositories Act, and various provisions of the Companies Act. So we can only act as per the laws which have been given to us. That is our remit. So that we are doing. What the update is that around 49 of them went to SAT, and 12 of them obtained stay. The other ones were asked to come to SEBI. Until now, member has heard, I think, 43 cases and passed order in 34 cases, where forensic audit has been ordered in 28 cases, and 6 cases, all restrictions have been removed. So various cases are at various stages of examination where appropriate view and decision would be taken. And as I said, that it will be only in terms of the laws administered by us.
Mr. Tyagi, I have a question.
One second, we'll come back to Kushbu.
Sir, what is the status of SEBI's investigation into the NSE case pertaining to algo trading? And recently there were also income tax raids. Is there any kind of sharing of information between SEBI and the income tax department?
Sir, add to this, will you wait till the IT investigation over for the consent application which NSE has filed, sir? Or you can proceed with the consent application?
See, income tax department, again, they operate with different purpose under different acts. So they are doing their job. They must be having some information on the basis of which they have done. I have nothing to comment on that. So we will go by our own laws, statutes which have been given to us, and our regulations. So we'll follow our regulations, and we actually want to come to a definitive conclusion as quickly as possible. As you are aware, the case is quite complex, technical, and with other aspects. So there also we are proceeding in one direction. Since we are not yet concluded, it will be improper for me to share as to where we are. but we are on the job.
So just to add to that question, sir, of course, reports were submitted from NSE also as far as their investigation is concerned. Sir, if you could give us some idea in terms of what were those findings?
No, I'm sorry, that cannot be. That's that's again the same question. That's written NSE and SEBI, so we can't really disclose what their reports say.
Sir, Ashish from the Hindu, just two things. One, in July you had come out with a discussion paper on FNO in which you had highlighted the high equity to FNO turnover ratio, and then in September there was another paper which spoke about physical settlement. So what's the status on that? And two, if you could just share the update on the PwC matter, not asking the kind of investigations going on, but any timeline if you could share.
On the right, on the first one, I think because that again is a issue where there have been a lot of responses in all type of this. The consultation paper with a lot of people have responded. So we perhaps are targeting by March to take a view on that. On the PwC case, I think Supreme Court has given some deadline of by January or something it has to be decided. So we'll take a view. I mean, we have to follow those court directions and it will be decided.
So just on the whole of investigations, of course, various questions have been put. If I ask you, sir, all the long-pending, high-profile cases in investigation, we have seen recently PwC, Infosys, NSE, everyone has also simultaneously filed for a consent. So what is the line of thinking? Would adjudication be the only option, although it's time-consuming, or looking at the big names and the sensitivities involved, consent would be an option? What is the line of thinking internally?
I think we already have consent regulations which say that which are the items and which type of irregularities are consentable and which are not. So those they in fact decide as to what should be the approach. There again for consent regulations we again are having a relook and we have actually set up a small we are trying to review that. We have set up a group to review as to whether what all could be consentable and what should be the norms. But as of now, it is not in vacuum. As of now, there are regulations. So as for that, we take a view. I mean, people can always apply. No one can stop people from applying. So to what extent they should be considered, we will take a view as per the regulations on that day when we receive the application.
Is there a view to expand the nature?
No, as I said, it's premature. If we set up a group, let groups say what should be done.
Mr. Tyagi, first is a follow-up question on the same PwC certain matter. I wanted to understand, apart from the consent regulations, is there any way that SEBI is thinking in which the money can in fact be returned to some of the shareholders, some of the key shareholders that were there in this particular matter? The second was about mutual funds. Is there a discussion, there is already a discussion, will there be a decision on mutual funds being allowed to invest in commodity derivatives? And the third is regarding the algorithmic trading. Is SEBI formulating any guidelines around it so that further something like this does not happen?
So first one, I think it's the same thing. PwC is a sub judice matter. To say anything on that, I think is not correct. Anyway, Supreme Court deadline of January, some date is there, and by that time we'll have to come out with some order. So we'll come out with some order as per that deadline. Mutual funds participating in commodity derivatives market, we have allowed AIF3 as you are aware, and we are seeing whether a mutual fund should be allowed. So there is a consultation paper, we received views on both sides. So we'll see, we'll take a view after collating the views which we have got. Algorithmic trading is something which is there. You really cannot stop. But we are actually working on regulations as to how to better regulate it. We are working on regulations on that.
Any timelines you can share in both?
Which one? No, I'm sorry, I have not really applied mine, so it will be wrong for me to state some timeline. But we are working on them.
I'm Stan from Business Standard. I have two questions. One on this cross shareholding cap of 10%. This will essentially be applicable to UTI mutual fund, and the SEBI and the fund house is trying to work out a solution for quite some time. Is there a deadline set, and how will this? Informally, has it been discussed how this solution can be worked out there? And the second question is that the budget is now on the corner. Is there any discussions happening between SEBI and the government in terms of, the buyback route is being used to sort of as a tax arbitrage instead of dividend. Also, the talks that capital gains could be, long-term capital gains could be taxed. So is there any thing that is being discussed on these two fronts?
No, on the tax matters, the discussions do take place, but I think you would appreciate that budget announcements are made by the Honorable Finance Minister during the budget time only.
But it could have a big reaction in the market. So, I mean, are markets prepared to handle something like that? I mean, something.
No. So I really cannot react to something which is hypothetical as of now. I really cannot react to something as to what are the discussions. That is between the government and actually it's the government's prerogative to take a view on these matters. So I'm not the best person to, and anyone in the government also will not react before 1st of February. I can tell you that.
Is there anything that
UTI, as I said that, you asked about UTI. So if I remember it, today's decision says that anyone who is deviant from this will be given 1 year's time. So when we come out with the modified regulations and they are notified, within 1 year thereafter that situation would need to be corrected.
Sir, congratulations completing 9 months successfully in the SEBI, sir. And when you came in SEBI and did the first press conference, you sort of said about the agendas like commodities and debt. Commodities, somehow you have completed the options and the universal exchange for operating on that. So what are the agenda for the 2018? Can you say something like, Algo, can we see the interoperability, what are on the...
See, the markets keep you busy. You keep on setting agenda, market sets up some other agenda, so you keep doing whatever is required to be done. So whatever we are trying to do is, I can only tell you, we are trying to do in right earnest for integrity of the market. We all are very happy, markets are doing very well. It's a question of trust. That's how people actually are investing. IPO market is doing so well. Bond market also is picked up. So mutual funds are doing so well. So we want good stories to continue. At the same time, be sure that everything is going on correctly. So broadly, that is what is the agenda.
We will take last 2 questions, Reena.
So this is Reena Zebraya from the Economic Times. I want to ask you, SEBI had recently told credit rating agencies that, if companies don't share information with you, you need to put that on the website. So there are a lot of companies who are refusing to share information with credit rating agencies and they have been putting up on the website. How are you looking at addressing this issue? Because the rule says that you should share information, otherwise how are they supposed to rate your instrument? But if they don't cooperate, because it's a contractual agreement between the rating agency and the issuer, so how do you address it? Because they've been putting out this loan default disclosure in some way would have actually aided them. But now that this has been deferred further, how is this issue going to be addressed?
So just to add to that, the role of debenture trustees in such case, where debenture trustees do not disclose whether there is a default happening, the credit rating agency depend on information from them, and debenture trustees are not required to disclose it to credit rating agencies. So it basically, they stand their arms behind and now come out and with your rating without even giving them much follow-up.
So you see, debenture trustees is another intermediaries who are on our list now that CRAs we have been able to do something. So we will be reviewing the regulations for debenture trustees, and anyway they are quite important in our scheme of things. So when we try to say we want to deepen the bonds market, so we will try to address those things. On the other issue of what you are saying, whatever agreements between two rating agencies and companies, we really cannot go into that. As CRA's regulations, we can tighten, and for listed companies, we can tighten the regulations. Between the two, if I hear you, there are some agreements which are not being followed. So there is really, I will have to really examine it, what you are saying. So as of now, I really don't know what can be done.
Yeah, last question.
Hi, this is Pawan from Business Standard. So there is a lot of action going on this insolvency front, and SEBI had also given few exemptions like from open offer. But there are also several other demands from the industry, like exemptions from delisting norms, MPS. So are there going to be any second set of relaxations for insolvent companies?
Yeah, you are right. There are a lot of issues actually. Initially, we realized that we were not sure as to how many issues could be, but it is there are a lot of issues which there is a interplay between IBC and securities market. So we have a small group which we set up only for this purpose. Earlier, we have had interactions with IBBI and RBI, and some of the banks, especially SBI, also has been writing to us. Now we have understood the issues, so we have to decide on our own. We set up a group and we will try to finalize those things. Maybe by March. This would have been premature for this board meeting because I said that some of those issues, on the face of it, they look simple, but then they have a lot of intricacies. So maybe by March we will come out with as to what should be the amendment required in regulations to address those.
Sir, last question, sir. Can we expect interoperability before this financial year, sir?
Or what?
In clearing corporations, interoperability.
Interoperability of what?
Of clearing corporation.
Clearing corporation?
Yeah.
By when?
Yes.
No, by when?
I'm asking you, can we expect before financial year end?
I thought you thought before calendar year, so it was only 3 days left. So that we are examining. There are some issues, there are legal issues and contractual issues. So we are examining that, and I think we have taken out a paper and we are taking inputs from stakeholders. So whether it is doable by March and all, I have not applied mind, so I can't really commit.
Sir, is IBC committee an internal committee or committee?
I said it's internal committee. Which one?
IBC committee.
Yeah, we have received inputs from IBBI, RBI and some of the banks. So we understood what is being asked. So now we have to really see from our point of view as to what should be done. So we are examining on our own. We have set up a group within SEBI.
Does it also include putting these companies under suspension trading in these companies? I mean, is that something that you are considering?
So then what will that group do if I tell you that what is to be done?
Yes, thank you.
So thank you very much for joining in, and I wish Happy New Year to all of you. So happy 2018. Thank you very much.